WTBQ.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Good afternoon, Tony Abbatine, Game On, WTBQ in Warwick, New York. Today's topic, hold on to your seats, parents, moms, and dads, because performance level and nutrition. How do we keep little Johnny, little Sarah from falling asleep in the dugout, from making sure that their performance level continues to go in the right direction? Why is breakfast still the meal of champions? And what about all of that sugar drinks that our poor generation of children are drinking? And how do we start defining what nutrition is, both from a coaching standpoint and from a parent standpoint, knowing that as the children get older, this is the missing link in their performance. Their strength training, their mental skills training will become eventually secondary to what fuel or what food levels they're putting into their system. Joining us today, thanks to our great sponsors from ShopRite, we have Melanie Dwornik, who is our registered dietitian. Melanie is the dietitian to the stars in Orange County, born and raised in Orange County, Washingtonville graduate, and spending time with us now at Frozen Ropes in the Rock Sports Park, really educating the next generation of great athletes on food and nutrition, and really getting them to understand how, as Melanie called it before, their bodies are the Ferraris or the Lamborghinis, that all the strength training in the world will not make any sense if they're putting that real bad 87 lead gasoline into the Ferrari. Melanie, right from the get-go, we're going to put you on the spot. We mentioned breakfast before.
Yes.
Kind of overrated, right? I mean, at the end of the day, do you really need breakfast to go to school and pay attention and to be a good athlete?
Breakfast is still the most important meal of the day. Mom has been right all of these years.
Well, and again, we certainly know that, and whether it's, we had Chris Trieste here, the athletic director from Chester, talked about just paying attention at school, obesity issues that are going on. Let's talk about the athlete. It's Saturday morning, and you've got a 14-year-old daughter that's out getting ready to play in a softball tournament. Let's talk about some healthy choices with breakfast. Okay.
So breakfast, it provides a significant amount of calories for those athletes. The average athlete probably needs, the female, between 2,000 and 2,800 calories a day. And if they miss that breakfast, they're missing a huge chunk of nutrition and calories to help them when they're performing later. So breakfast, I would say, what's a normal breakfast? Some kids will wake up and they'll grab a cinnamon bun, right? That could be 800 calories of sugar. Instead, they might want to have a cinnamon raisin bagel. Now, bagels, they provide a lot of carbohydrates, but with that bagel, they could have egg whites, low-fat cheese, fruit juice, and they're only going to get about 400 calories. So they're getting a lot more of dense nutrition versus just the simple sugars. Other breakfast options, instead of maybe a sweetened cereal, 1 cup of sweetened cereal, they could have 1.5 cups of unsweetened, maybe like a whole oat cereal. Whole grains are what you want to be choosing. Instead of whole milk, they should be having 1% or 2% milk, depending on what their weight goals are, whether trying to gain or lose or maintain. So instead of a piece of banana bread, have a piece of fruit, like a banana. And instead of a sports drink at breakfast, they should be drinking 100% fruit juice.
Now, with the youngsters in particular, and I asked before the show, tough at times when the children, they want the Sugar Puffs, they want the Captain Crunch. There was a recent study that was done really defining the 5 worst cereals that are in the that are in supermarkets. Certainly none that ShopRite would certainly offer. Making the switch is a tough thing to do, and knowing that the younger athletes are at the beck and call of parents making good choices.
Right.
How do you wean off some of the sugar cereals? I mean, is it cold turkey? Your choices make sense, but how do you have that little 10 or 11-year-old boy that is not giving up his Count Chocula because he wants that sugar energy rush right from the get-go, not realizing that 4 hours later when it's time to play, it's not going to help him?
Right. So there are a couple things you can do. You can dress up those other like the plainer cereals, maybe like the whole toasted oat cereal with fruit, or put your own honey and sugar in it, because you can control that. Whereas if you're looking at a sweetened cereal, look at the ingredients label. Within the most cereals, the first ingredient is sugar. It's not even whole grain wheat or oats or rice. So that's really what you want the first ingredient to be. So look at what you have in your cupboard right now, what your child's favorite is. Say, okay, I'm starting off with a cereal where the sugar is the first ingredient. You can improve with that. Maybe find a cereal where sugar is the second or the third ingredient. And if you really want to go all the way, make sure sugar is not in the first three ingredients. So that's one step you can kind of explore in the aisle. If you're not giving up the Count Chocula, maybe try mixing it with a cereal that has significantly less sugar. So it's still kind of in there, but you're weaning them off from it. It takes children about 20 to 25 times of just trying something new before they can make a decision as to whether they like it or not.
Let's rewind if we can. And I feel like we're back in science class now with the 5 major food groups.
Yes.
And as much as the posters and all the signage and the studies that are telling us that in the United States we have adult, teenage, and adolescent obesity and overweight issues off the charts, it continues to get worse. Explain for the parents and even the young athletes that are listening, the 5 major food groups and how that's really the starting point of high performance training.
Okay. So everyone picture your food guide pyramid. It has 6 different colors on it, even though there are only 5 food groups. So first is the grain group. It's the largest. And remember, these groups go vertically from the bottom of the pyramid to the top, okay? So first there's grains. That's your bread, your rice, your pasta, your breakfast cereals. Then your vegetables, which is everything in your produce department, but fruits and vegetables can be found in different forms. So there's fresh, there's frozen, there's dried, there's canned. So all of those forms count. So we have grains, vegetables, fruits. We have our dairy, so our milk and our yogurts, and our ice cream fits in that category too. And then meat and beans. The 6th group is the fats and the oils. Now, no one ever says, did you get your oils today? But the point is they're essential, and there are always good choices to make in the fat department and, not so good choices. You want to be choosing vegetable oils as much as possible, as opposed to those animal-based fats.
Let's talk about the dairy products.
Okay.
We certainly know the ice cream, I would think, would sit high up on the bad part of the pyramid, if you will.
Okay, what is the bad part of the pyramid, right? At the base of the pyramid is where all of your whole foods are, your minimally processed foods. So those are your fresh fruits and veggies, your whole grains, the milk, and your meat and your beans in the most unprocessed form. And as you move up the pyramid, you have added salt, added sugar, and added fats. So while milk would be at the bottom of the pyramid because it's unprocessed, really, it's in the most natural form, as you move up to the top, that's where you would find your ice cream, because that milk has now been processed and sugar has been added to it. So those foods at the top of the pyramid, you really want to limit as much as possible. You will include them, but you want to be aware of the point of the day that you're eating them.
And at the end of the day, it's not about eliminating all the bad stuff, Melanie.
Right.
I think there's a sense of realism that as parents, as young teenagers, we can talk about portion control, and I think your point is well taken. If you're going to have the ice cream, you can't have it 4 times a day, and it can't be your core food.
Exactly.
Getting ready really for performance.
Right.
Let's talk portion control, and I know at some point you and I have talked about weight loss and weight management and the challenges that all athletes and their parents face. Some guidelines for portion control that could be helpful.
First of all, as an athlete, you need to ask yourself, how hungry are you on a scale of 1 to 10, okay? And really know, if you're at a 10, you are, let's say you're starving, right? Or no, let's say 10, you're totally full after Thanksgiving, and 1 is you're starving, you're going to faint. Also, you need to ask yourself, how hard have I trained today? Was today more of just, a low intensity workout? Did I work on some skills, or did I really exert myself? There are different levels of training. I'm sure there's some activities your athletes will perform that are, focusing on certain parts of their game, but maybe they're not sweating a 10 out of 10 the whole time. So you need to gauge your output with what you're going to input. Okay, so what's good for a little Johnny might not be perfect for Tommy, because they may have had this, an hour workout each, but they may have been doing very different activities.
When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, and the caffeine intake that now invades the young children that we are calling professional and amateur athletes. We'll be back with celebrity dietitian Melanie Dwornik after the break.
WTBQ.
Hey Mom, can you pick me up a triple shot of cappuccino at Starbucks? I'm a little tired because I've got my second grade exam going on. Melanie, if you can, we're talking with Melanie Dwornik, registered dietitian from our good friends at ShopRite. Melanie, before I forget, which I think is an incredible, talk about the ultimate in service and such a good thing that anyone coming to the ShopRite where you work, a shop along. Explain a little bit about how anyone who really wants to understand and learn and do the best job they can for their spouse and their children can actually take advantage of a free service that's provided by ShopRite.
They can do just that. All they need to do is call me at the store, and we can set up an appointment time where we can kind of look at what their individual goals and health and wellness goals are, and we'll set up a plan, customize something just for them. And then hopefully it's a day where they need to do some shopping, or at the very least we can walk up and down the aisles and see what jumps out at them and read some labels and, assess whether that's something that really fits into their goal or if a better option is available. So we just go up and down and see what grabs us.
Great stuff. That's something that I'd be shocked more people shouldn't take advantage of. In fact, I know we had talked before, we're going to be sending some of our softball and baseball teams over to the ShopRite in Warwick. And really at the age of 16, 17, some of these girls and boys are making choices themselves. For them to hear it from you, the expert, that staying in this particular aisle where the dark vegetables are and some of the good fruits and the whole grains, that's where you're going to be playing and performing at a different level. Let's get back to caffeine if we can. And really over the last few years, we've seen such a proliferation of use from the Red Bull, the 5-hour energy drink. Back in the days when I went to college, it was no-dose. Now you're seeing kids in junior high school taking this stuff in order to get through a workout or whatnot. We all know the dangers of caffeine, again, in excess. As it relates to young athletes and the fueling schedule that they need to be on, what are some of the issues with caffeine?
Well, first of all, my question would be, why are they looking to caffeine for a jolt? Is it because they think it gives them energy?
Great question, which segues back to, how are they sleeping these days?
Well, that's exactly right. So if they're looking to caffeine for energy or some kind of boost, we need to look at what they're actually eating, because carbohydrates, protein, and fat are the ways we as humans get energy. And if you look at one of the labels on one of those energy drinks, generally, some of them only have 5 calories. So if they only have 5 calories, that's the only energy they're getting. Whereas a snack, an appropriate snack, might be between 200 and 400 calories for them. That's where they really need to be getting their energy from. So they may also be feeling fatigued if they're not hydrated properly. So fueling properly, hydrating properly, and then resting properly. They need at least 8 hours of sleep a night.
It's interesting. Some of the children that we see, Melanie, soda. Well, it's only Diet Coke, Tony, so it's okay. I think what's happening, instead of having and eating food that's providing them energy, they're filling up on these empty calories, so to speak, And you make an interesting point about sleep. I have a daughter in junior high school and a son that's in middle school also, and it's amazing how much work today's children get as far as studying and whatnot. And there are times in which studying at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and they're getting up for their school bus at 5:30, 6 o'clock.
That's right.
And it's interesting, maybe some of the problems that we're seeing as it relates to nutrition could be a part of just some sleep deprivation issues.
Children generally need 8.5 hours of sleep a night, sometimes a little more. And if they're only getting 6 or 7, let's say they do that for a week, by the end of the week, they've lost an entire night's sleep. And that's when their body has a chance to put itself back together and rejuvenate and rest. So sleep is really essential. And that, it's just as they have a fueling schedule, they need to have a sleep schedule. If these little athletes are being serious about, their extracurriculars, they really need to be focused on getting to bed by like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night.
So we have fueling schedules, we have sleep schedules, we have training schedules. These poor little 11, 12-year-olds, we're making them the next Todd Marinovich. Todd Marinovich was this robo quarterback about a decade ago. He was someone that never was allowed to go to McDonald's, could not have Coca-Cola. Junk foods were totally eliminated from his life. This was the ultimate pure can't-miss quarterback in the NFL. Make a long story short, got to the NFL and became the biggest drug user ever. He just fell off the bandwagon because his parents at a very early age denied him everything.
Well, and I'm not saying that there will be nights where they have late practices or a tournament that's far away, so they can't, follow their routine. But if they have a routine in place, they'll feel that, when they're off schedule, it's easier to get back into the habit. So, a routine is good.
Well, routine is crucial. Last week or 2 weeks ago, Howard Johnson was here, coach for the New York Mets, and the power of a routine with an athlete is tremendous. That done right, your training schedule, your mental skills training, the better you are, the more regimented you are, and the better you are in really managing and appreciating that time is your most precious commodity as an athlete and in life. This really becomes a part of that. And, some of the 11 or 12-year-olds, not that they have to on the clock or keep a journal like we do with some of our high school and even some of the professional athletes that train with us, but in the beginning, getting them into a sense of schedule, knowing that there'll be deviations, knowing that they're going to have the cooperation from parents. It's just a good life skill to start at a very early age. Let's fast forward to the fast foods, if you will.
Sure.
And the reality is, because I do have children. Do you have children yet, Melanie?
No, I don't.
Not
have
yet.
children.
Okay, so I can tell you there will be times in which one day, if that's going to happen, they're going to want to go to McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, and all the other devils, as we call it. Are there healthy choices in some of these fast food places? And if there are, what can some parents and even some of the children themselves be asking for?
Okay. If you haven't planned ahead and you need to make a pit stop and you're going to choose one of these fast food places, you need to get something that's either baked or broiled or grilled. You want to avoid the fried foods and look and try and choose the most minimally processed thing. So usually there's a side salad, there's a parfait, some kind of yogurt with granola, grilled chicken, get a whole grain bun or bread if it's available, bulk up on the fruits and veggies if they're available to you, and of course either choose 100% fruit juice or water. You really want to stay away from the sodas, whether they're diet or not.
You mentioned about preparation, which again, the parallel between good nutritional training and skill and athletic training, it's all about preparation. If you know that you're going out, your son or daughter is playing in a doubleheader, playing in a soccer match, how does a family better prepare so that those healthy choices and as we keep calling it, the fueling schedule makes sense? What are some of the things that should be in this ultimate family cooler, if you will?
Okay, you have your family cooler. You're definitely choosing some fruits or veggies that are portable. Bananas or apples, oranges, they all have their nice little skin and you don't even need a plastic bag for them. Pretzels, you could do low-fat cheeses, whether it's string cheese or even yogurt. You really want to focus on foods that are portable and easy. So definitely have, whether it's chocolate milk for your recovery drink or your well-formulated sports drinks. You want to bulk up on all of that stuff, but you really want to choose foods that don't have as much fat or added sugar in there. So you want to avoid the candy bars. You
mentioned about sports drinks, and I know everywhere you look, there's a new label that's out, from the Gatorades to the Qs to the Gs. Some helpful hints on when these sports drinks are appropriate. I know at times it's all about the water, and yes, there are some times in which we need to replenish the salt and even some of the sweat, if you will, as we talked before. Some general guidelines on some of the sports drinks and when to use them really is the key.
The key to using sports drinks is consuming them when you know you're going to be exerting yourself for 60 minutes or more. That's when it's important to have the sports drink, because the sports drink is mostly carbohydrate, some sodium, and potassium. So those carbs in that sports drink, the calories that are in there, are going to help fuel your muscles and keep your blood sugar stable during your game. So if you're just going for a walk or having dinner, that sports drink is really equivalent to a soda pop.
And it's interesting, you see all the parents, they're watching the games, and we're not even going to comment on the waistlines of some of the parents that are watching the games for another show. And, well, you know what, my son or daughter's out there performing, so I'm just going to slug this 24-ounce thirst-quenching lemon lime G-Series because I think I felt a little bit of sweat on my brow. Probably not what the parents should be doing.
Right, probably not. And, you have to be careful with the series. There's the pre, the during, the post. You really just want to be aware of what you're consuming and when.
Melanie, when in doubt, go water. Agree or disagree?
Most of the time, water's going to be perfect. The one time I would recommend the sports drink is after your workout, when you're thoroughly drenched and you need to replenish and hold on to that fluid. After your workout, if you worked out for an hour or more and you just drink water, that water is going to go right through you. Your body's not going to absorb it. So that's when you need that extra sodium and potassium in those sports drinks. If all you have is water after your game or your practice, you want to have a salty snack. So maybe some pretzels along with your water, and that'll help you hold on to the water instead of running to the John.
Let's talk about, and we have, what a great shot. It's too bad we're on radio. This is like Halloween, for the health and fitness freaks that are in the industry. Melanie, along with myself, we must have about 10 or 15 different energy and power bars that are sitting here. And there's so many choices to buy. There's price points, what's good, what's not good.
Snack bars.
Yeah, there's snack bars. What are some of the issues that parents looking at? What is healthy? What's more appropriate? And again, the more detail I can give you, we're in the middle of a game now, right? Let's give you the hypothetical so your advice could be somewhat bullseye. You've just played a game at 11 o'clock, assuming that you've had a good breakfast. What are you looking for when you turn the bar around and start looking at that label?
Okay. This is after your game?
This would be in between, actually.
Okay, but you've just finished your game.
Correct.
So within 30 minutes of really exerting yourself, you have a window of recovery. And during that time, you want to have a certain amount of carbohydrate to replenish your fuel, your glycogen that you've used during your game. And you want to have some protein to help repair some of the muscles that may have been, used a little bit during the game too. So you want to look for about 10 to 20 grams of protein and 3 to 4 times as much carbohydrate. So let's make it simple. 10 grams of protein and about 30 to 40 grams of carb. That's what you're looking for. Whether you get it from a bar or a piece of fruit or a combination of a beverage or a yogurt or half a sandwich, that's up to you. And maybe that's why you come to me at the store, so we can talk about what fits best into your plan. But if we're looking at what's in front of us, there's one right here. It's a snack bar, actually, not a energy bar, and it's got 8 grams of protein and 27 grams of carbohydrate. So this would be appropriate to eat within 30 minutes of your workout, along with maybe some of your sports drink, which you'll be drinking anyway because you need to rehydrate.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to go through the 37 bars that are here. We're going to be examining labels and find out what exactly is the right choice for the next generation of Olympic athletes that are hopefully residing in the homes in Orange County and beyond. We'll be back.
WTBQ.
Making those healthy decisions for the young athletes in our lives. We're still live with Melanie Dwornik from ShopRite. Melanie, we were just starting the cross-examination of some of the bars, the nutritional bars. They become increasingly popular. We see them. We actually sell some of them at our locations around the country. Certainly ShopRite and all the other stores have them that are available. They are convenient, looking at them the right way, and parents just really taking the time to go through the analysis that you're sharing with us. Let's take two or three more and just mentioning names, because we're not saying that one or the other is bad, but really based upon the time frame, who the athlete is, what their meal was prior to that. What are some of the other components of the bar that we need to educate parents about?
I would really want to look at the ingredients panel and, make sure I can name most of the things on there. And unfortunately, most of the time you can't. So this is really a convenience factor. You may not need to be eating a sports bar. It may be convenient for you. If you like the way it tastes and it's something you're going to eat, like maybe a Cliff Bar, go for it. If that works for you, you should. So I mentioned the Cliff Bar. Let's look at it. It has 45 grams of total carbohydrate and 9 grams of protein. So, about 10 grams of protein, a little more than 40 grams of carb. This is, a good 4-to-1 ratio for someone to consume within 30 minutes of working out, extensively, really breaking out a sweat, because this is going to help them recover.
That might be my lunch. That looks really tempting, that bar. We have a call coming in right now. This is Tony Abbatine and Melanie Dwornik from Game On.
Hey, Tony, it's Eddie. How are you?
Good, Eddie.
I'm listening to you live from East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania right now.
Well, that's great, Eddie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you a quick question about juices and drinks. You were talking about, of course, Gatorade and all that. I drink a lot of fruit juice with Aussie berry and all that to build the immune system up. I was just wondering, does that pertain, because it does have sugar in it, does that really affect us that much, or does it replenish everything in your system with the immune drinks?
What do you think, Doc?
Well, any 100% fruit juice is going to be a good choice in terms of carbohydrates. However, the fruit juices probably don't have the protein in there, if we're talking about recovery drinks. In recovery, after your workout, you really want to have carbohydrate and protein. So you can have that juice, but you might want to have maybe an ounce or two of low-fat cheese, or another form of protein that's easily portable and something you'll be able to tolerate after working out. The 100% fruit juices like the acai berry or blueberry, any kind of juice, a grape juice, is all of them are full of antioxidants, which you also need after working out to help reduce the oxidative stress caused by your workout.
What about the sugar content, though?
I don't drink Gatorade. I drink all these fruit juices, the Aussie, like orange juice, to build up your vitamin C and just to give you the extra oomph that you need, the energy.
Now, are you drinking them before your workout or after?
Well, I do both.
Right. So after your workout, you probably
hydrated from the juices.
Right. It's really all on an individual basis. Some clients will need to be drinking fruit juice all day long in order to meet their calorie requirements. And others really have to limit those liquid calories they consume because they want to either maintain or lose weight. So I think that would really, be based on your individual goal.
Like for example, like pomegranate juice and all that.
They're all good to try in moderation, and most importantly, that they're to your liking and that you enjoy consuming them.
Right. Melanie, what about the sugar content? I mean, the fruit juices, our caller, I believe it was Eddie, a young teenager from East Stroudsburg. Should you be concerned about the sugar content in some of the fruit juices? I know some of the parents that bring the young children in, their concern is that they're drinking the little fruit box drinks, if you will, with anywhere from 25 to 30 grams of sugar in one serving.
Fruit juices are one way to reach your 5 to 9 fruits and veggies a day. About 6 ounces of juice is a serving. And especially for children, you don't want to exceed 1 serving of fruit juice a day. If you do, you're really getting excess calories, which leads to weight gain. If you're an athlete that's working out all the time and need to maintain or increase your weight, you're going to want to have that fruit juice. I may say, hey, listen, you're no longer drinking water. You need to be drinking 100% fruit juice or milk in order to achieve your weight goal. So it's really, on an individual basis.
You mentioned antioxidant, big word. You see that all over, right? The acai berry, which was supposed to be the wonder berry. You've got so many liquids now that profess to have the acai berry, this wonder berry that's found in third world countries. Explain a little bit about antioxidants and how that needs to be part of the nutritional formula for some of our players.
Every food has a purpose, and fruits and veggies are mostly carbohydrates, but even more so, they have those antioxidants in there, which are going to help combat all of the oxidative stress and possible inflammation. They're going to help you recover. So you need to be consuming, whether it's fruits or vegetables or that 100% fruit juice. That's where you're going to be getting all of those antioxidants. In addition to, if you have a multivitamin, you might get it in there too. But the best form we know of getting all of those antioxidants is from whole foods, because they have a synergistic effect. We don't know all of the nutrients that are in our whole foods. And, once we start to pull out and just take one vitamin or nutrient at a time, we don't get exactly what we bargained for. It's better to just eat the whole fruits and vegetable.
Loading up on vitamins in the morning for the youngsters. Your thoughts on vitamin supplements? If
you're eating a well-balanced diet, a vitamin isn't going to hurt. If you're really limiting your calories or nutrient deficient, you may need an additional supplement, whether it be iron or calcium or vitamin D. But generally, people who take vitamins are more regimented and healthier. And we're not really sure if it's because of the vitamin or because they're regimented.
Right. Let's talk about some dinner. Right? You've got the big event going on Sunday morning. Saturday night, it's your pre-game meal, if you will. Let's define some good choices for that. And again, we'll give you, unlike some of the hockey players that I know you've worked with before, let's say we've got a soccer player. We've got a high school soccer player who's got a big match on Sunday morning. That Saturday evening meal.
You really just want it to be nice and wholesome. Follow the plate method. Half your plate's fruits and veggies. Do some whole grain carbohydrates. This time, you can eat your high fiber foods the night before, get a lot of nutrients. Lean meats. You don't want to really have a high fat or fried meal before, the night before or the meal before your event, because that's really going to slow you down. You want to eat very cleanly towards the bottom of the pyramid. And I hope everyone has a new, vision of the pyramid and focusing just on that bottom, the whole foods. And also hydration. Hydration is key the night before and 24 hours.
And you hear hydration all the time at the event. Make sure you're getting your fluids in during the game. At the bottom line of what I'm learning is that the whole hydration levels, it's when you wake up, and you're saying it's even the night before that's crucial.
It's always. And your best monitor is really when you're using the restroom. Take a look. You never want your urine to be a dark, like apple juice color. You really want it to be a light lemonade.
Which tells you what?
That if it's a lighter color, almost clear, you're hydrated. If it's much darker, that means that it's very concentrated and you don't have enough fluid.
We're going to take a break one more time, and when we come back, some weight loss strategies that make sense, and how do we put 10 or 15 pounds on that young high school softball player to give her a chance to throw even harder. We'll be back.
WTBQ.
December 16th, 7 o'clock. If you enjoyed Melanie on the radio, you will love her live and in person. She will be at the Frozen Ropes Training Center in Chester, New York at 7 o'clock. It is a free seminar being sponsored by Frozen Ropes and ShopRite. Melanie will be there to talk directly to the young athletes and parents on fueling schedule, performance, nutrition, all the things that we've been talking about today. And we'll actually have some real food, some good healthy choices that we'll be presenting to the parents and to the players. Melanie, let's talk about weight loss. I mentioned before about obesity issues and the diets and the sometimes the lack of exercise that we're seeing at the youth level. You're a parent now. You've got a 14-year-old that we're going to define as clinically overweight. What are some of the things that you can do to help that youngster?
Okay. The first thing whenever someone wants to lose weight is I tell them to change what they're drinking. You don't want to consume any liquid calories because studies show us that even if you have a hamburger with fries in front of you, and let's say you have a fruit, something for dessert, and you have a big 12 or 16 ounce soft drink, possibly even larger, you are going to eat the same exact amount of food, regardless of whether you're drinking the 300 or 400 calories of soda or not. So if you replace that beverage with water or a low-calorie tea or a Crystal Light or something like that, if you decrease and remove those calories, you're going to be omitting a significant portion. So I guess it's important to say how many calories are in a pound. It's 3,500. So if you omit 500 calories a day, which you could probably do with your beverages alone, you'll lose a pound a week.
Wow.
And then, I mean, think about it with the lattes and the soda and everything. That's very easy to do if you're having at least 1 or 2 a day. And then if you're working out and burning 500 calories a day, you can lose, it's reasonable to think you could lose 1 to 2 pounds. But with children, you want them to grow into their weight. So depending on their age, this is, all on an individual basis. But with children, you want them to maintain and their weight and sort of grow into it.
Let's go on the other side of the spectrum, gaining weight, if you will. At the high school level, you typically see that 15 or 16-year-old boy that is working out. Maybe his metabolism is just at such a high rate that he can't contain the weight. He's eating as best as he can, so he thinks, is working out 2 or 3 times a week. Yet he's still 140 pounds, dripping wet as that linebacker. What can he do to get stronger, parentheses, get a little bit heavier?
There are a couple things. It's really important that if they're working out, while you're working out, your muscle synthesis is decreased. And after you stop, within that recovery window, really within that first 30 minutes after lifting weight or after your regimen, you're going to start building muscle again. So that's why it's really important to have that recovery drink with protein in there, which is the building block for muscles, right? And the carbohydrate to help fuel those muscles. So you have to recover within 30 minutes. If you're not having some sort of recovery beverage or snack after your workout, you're really doing yourself a disservice because you're not going to see the results as quickly.
For example, give us an example of what recovery drink would make sense for that high school boy that just finished a great strength training workout.
One of the simplest and one that tastes really great is chocolate milk. But, between 12 to 16 ounces of chocolate milk is going to be perfect. And you want chocolate milk because it has extra carbohydrates, a little bit extra sugar in there from the chocolate that complements the protein that's naturally in milk. And milk is a good source of whey protein, which, I'm sure a lot of the athletes buy whey protein powder. So having milk, chocolate milk, is a really great and easy recovery drink that they can usually have in their locker or their gym bag.
Any difference, male, female, as it relates to gaining weight? I mean, are the guidelines the same? Should it be any different for the young lady that's trying literally to gain weight? We see it at most of our locations. It's the female. She's strength training, she's working out, but she doesn't want to get, quote, big or get the big football muscles. And so most of the young ladies that we see and that our female instructors talk to, they're more in a weight management, if you will, our polite way of saying you need to kind of lose some weight mode. Besides the reduction of beverage calories, increasing their cardio component, part of their training, how can we help the young ladies?
It's probably changing a little bit of the composition of the meal of what they're eating. Most teens get enough calories to maintain their weight or gain weight or lose weight, whatever their goal is, but they're usually not getting enough nutrients. So they may be getting 50% of their calories from carbohydrates, but what kind of carbs? Is it just grains and rice and, cereals? Or can maybe we switch some of that over to the fruits and the veggies? So maybe they're eating less calorie-dense foods, but still getting the nutrition and feeling satiated. A lot of times the lean proteins need to be increased too.
Here's the other problem, Melanie, which not so much a nutritional issue. We have these female athletes that we work with. They watch Paris Hilton. Mm-hmm. They watch Lady Gaga. They watch these anemic young ladies that's thrown in front of them. And there's this expectation that they need to look, I call them the Skeletor look, right? And one of the biggest challenges that we have, and whether it's bringing in Olympic softball players like a Jessica Mendoza who's been to our place, a female athlete should look strong. It's okay to be lean. The fact that you can't see your ribs, that's a compliment. I think the mixed messages that they see over and over again on the cover of these magazines and all these award shows, I think it gives them a very distorted look as to what exactly beauty is for a female athlete. And
those celebrities really aren't accomplishing what your athletes are aiming to accomplish. So you need to, we're back to the analogy again, if you expect your body to do extraordinary things, you really need to give it the right fuel to do so. And, maybe what they're eating isn't appropriate, and maybe they need a consultation, need to tweak, their diet and their fueling schedule. But, there's always room for improvement. And unfortunately, they can't compare themselves to the celebrities because it's unrealistic.
Some examples of some real good, what I call the power lunches, we mentioned before, and that's typically the meal that sometimes gets out of whack with some of our athletes. They're in school, their choices possibly are limited. They're not, forget about the fact that they're playing that night, but just a better alternative lunch. You mentioned pizza before. At some point, can you turn pizza into somewhat of a healthy choice?
Pizza is a comfort food, and if you're having the pizza or the pasta, there's no reason why you can't have a big salad or vegetables on top of it. Comfort foods are a part of life, and sometimes pizza is the best choice. It has the carbs from the crust. It has the cheese. Sometimes it's even low fat or, part skim mozzarella. Right. It depends on where you're getting it from. There's a tomato sauce on there, but you want to definitely incorporate more fruits and vegetables.
Mentioned before about some in-game snacks, and most of the athletic events, coaches are not going to allow, quite frankly, for any snacking in the dugout
right.
or on the field. I think at the youth level, quite frankly, I think that's a mistake. I think parents and the coaches need to at least offer and have something that's available. What could be some in-game choices that would make sense that will increase energy and at the same time keep that performance level staying the same?
Are the games generally much more than an hour?
Could be. I mean, again, a typical softball game would be an hour. But again, whether it's soccer or softball, they're sometimes playing right after it. So they might have a 5 or 10 minute time in between.
This is when the well-formulated sports drink does come into play and would be beneficial, especially if you're playing more than one game in a day. During that first game, you want to make sure you're replacing the sugar that your body's using with the carbohydrate in the sports drink, and doing that consistently during the first game. Have something within 30 minutes of that first game ending, like something solid, something simple, without much fiber. You don't want fiber before a game. You don't want anything really spicy before a game. You don't want any gas-forming foods. The last thing you want is an upset stomach. So you want something really simple, whether it's like crackers or yogurt. You don't want a high-fat snack. And then when you're going into the next, have your sports drink there available too. I mean, they do make the gummies, like the sports gummies. I mean, I know it's real popular for the girls, have the Swedish fish or whatever it is. It might be appropriate because that's really simple and there isn't a lot of fiber in there.
Let's change gears and discuss alcohol, really as it pertains to the college athlete. By the time they're in school, and whether it's going out on a Friday night or a Saturday night, the consumption of alcohol and its effect not only on performance, but certainly how it really counteracts with any nutritional program that they're on.
I'd like to read a quote.
Please.
Alcohol is a depressant. It slows your reaction time, impairs hand-eye coordination, accuracy, and balance. And apart from killing pain, offers no edge. You can't be quick, sharp, and drunk. And that's by Nancy Clark, the famous sports dietitian.
That says it all.
It does. You know, it will dehydrate you. If you've reached your calorie allowance for the day, all those excess calories from whatever beverage you're drinking will be stored as fat. It impairs your sleep and your ability to concentrate the following day. And, you know, overall, one night of drinking is really going to set you back 2 weeks of your workouts and your training.
What about all the studies and all these doctors that are telling us 1 glass of wine a night is one of the best things that could be done for a healthy
One
style?
glass for women, 2 for men is the max. So if, you know, we need to be realistic. You know, eventually when you're of age, you can have 1 drink a night, possibly 2. You can't save your 1 drink from every night for Friday night to have like 5 or 6.
That doesn't count.
No.
So if you do nothing Monday through Thursday, you can't have 12 on Friday and
Exactly.
still be within the standard.
Exactly.
You mentioned again about the sleep component to it, and it's interesting. They're so interrelated. You really can't talk nutrition unless you address the sleep part of it. Some of the studies that we've read, at a certain time of the night, you should stop eating.
Yes.
Give us some insight on when the eating clock should stop.
Okay, well, you know, if you need to maintain your weight, the kitchen may need to close at a certain time. But it comes back to intuitive eating. You need to know how hungry you are on a scale of 1 to 10. And if you are genuinely hungry and it's 8 o'clock at night and yeah, it's a little late and it's dark outside, maybe it's appropriate for you to have a snack, whether it's crackers with a little bit of cheese, some carbohydrate and protein. You don't want something really high fat or, you know, excessive in calories at that point of the evening. But if you have a weight gain goal, you might have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, blend something quickly, consume it, and then go back to bed, because there are people who really feel like they cannot eat anymore and they still aren't reaching their goals. So I can't answer that with one blanket answer. It really depends on your goal and what you need. But if you're maintaining your weight or trying to lose, you might have to shut down the kitchen at a certain time and say, lights out.
Well, I think for most of us, and I'm talking about the parents and coaches, I don't think we need to be waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning for the power snack. And I think most of the high school athletes that we see, and again, we're generalizing, they're looking to either control, maintain, or slightly lose their weight.
Right.
So that 8 o'clock, it's dark outside. If you're going to have a snack, your advice is well taken on that. Breakfast again, besides the cereals, give us some other choices. As we're looking at, we're almost out of time. Besides the breakfast cereals, what are some of the other, what we call the Ferrari foods, if you will?
Well, you don't need to eat breakfast food at breakfast. You know, you could have breakfast for dinner. You could also have lots of nice leftovers if it includes whole grains, fruits, and veggies. And, you know, you can have that for breakfast, too. That's fine. You know, you could have a leftover slice of pizza if you wanted, as long as it has some sort of vegetable or fiber on there, too. But you could do like a parfait in the morning. I actually personally like to have a wrap in the morning with some peanut butter on it and a banana.
You mentioned, Melanie, you mentioned peanut butter. Great, good at times. Could you overload on the peanut butter? We see so many of the young athletes just all the time wanting to put peanut butter on their celery, peanut butter on crackers. Good, bad, indifferent?
Peanut butter is a really good source of protein. It has healthy fats in there. 2 tablespoons between some graham crackers, 2-3 tablespoons between the graham crackers is going to be a really good recovery snack. Peanut butter is great. You know, it really depends on how much you're eating throughout the day, but if you're having it once or twice as part of a snack or incorporated in your breakfast or lunch, it's really optimal. It's portable. You can carry it anywhere.
Any of our readers listeners, excuse me, that really want to learn more about nutrition and its effect on performance, Melanie will be with us in Chester on December 16th at 7 o'clock, which is a Friday night. You just need simply to call us, and we'd be more than happy. Bring your young athlete with you. It's one thing mom and dad comes, but having them there And for someone other than you to be preaching about the perils of sugar and cereals and things like that, we all know as parents that the older we get, the less credibility that we have, certainly with our children. And having someone from who's a professional, and we can't thank ShopRite enough for allowing Melanie to be here and sharing an hour of time and really getting and educating the next generation of great athletes. Melanie, thank you, and we'll see you sometime next week.
I'm looking forward to it.